Our topic tonight is the topic that we explored in an email that we sent out, or at least we began to explore, which is finding balance and well-being in a time of confusion and fear. And for me, the purpose of tonight is to help us all remember that we have far more power over both our attitude and our environment than we sometimes remember, especially at a time when the world is bombarding us with information about all of the things that are going wrong in the world. And so Sedena and Nathan and I will talk for just a little bit at the beginning, and then we'll open the floor to sharings from as many of you who care to share. We'll do it in a timed way so that everyone has a good opportunity to share. And we'll talk about what we share and how we share in just a few moments. As we begin tonight, I'm still laughing about a text message that Sedena and I received earlier today from a very good friend of ours who lives in Santa Fe normally and currently is in lockdown on Maui, of all the terrible places in the world to be in lockdown, of course, you know. But this was a very funny email, and its title was Dr. Fauci's new mask. And it showed a still photo of the podium in the White House where the daily briefings on the virus are conducted. And Fauci is in the foreground and Trump is in the background with a piece of tape across his mouth, reminding us, of course, that one of the ways that we can protect ourselves at this time is to pay attention to truth rather than fantasy. So, but anyway, before we begin, I'm going to invite Sedena. Sedena, would you bring us in with a little breathing and centering?
I'd be happy to. Hi, everybody. It's so great to see you. Thanks for taking the time to be here. Welcome. Why don't we just put our feet on the floor, come into this virtual space and time together with just a few cleansing breaths, okay? So we're going to breathe in, and this is an opportunity on the exhale to let go of any stress that you've been carrying throughout the day. And we're going to exhale with the sound of ha, okay? Breathing in. And exhaling. Yes.
Oh, there's God.
Again.
Zebra?
Let's do one more and just leave it all.
Do it on a tablet too.
All the stress of the day. Here we
go.
All right.
All right, so our topic, you know, I don't know about you, but when I watch the news every evening, which unfortunately I'm still doing, I find myself amassing this sense of this wave that's sweeping across the planet that affects so many people and that I can't do a damn thing about. And so one of the things that I want to encourage us to talk about, first, Sedena and Nathan and myself, and then each of you, is what are we doing to maintain some semblance of control, to remember that we are really in charge of our own inner landscape, and that by being in charge of our own inner landscape, we can indeed have a great deal of impact, not only on ourselves and our families, but literally the world at large. I think that the time that we're living in, as critical and challenging as it is an extraordinary opportunity. I know in the last couple of weeks, as Sedena and I have done our best to maintain social distancing and stay in the house, that I've had the opportunity to do things that I haven't done in a long time. I've had a chance to spend more time on my own interpersonal work. I've had the opportunity to practice some things that I've forgotten about and I've let slip. I've had the opportunity to rethink my priorities and things that are really critical and important to me. For an example, I'm a sculptor, and it has played such a really critical role in my life. But over the last several years, as I've spent more and more time with Sedena and with Nathan and with other colleagues creating Age Nation and the Ageless Living series, I've let my art, which is a critical part of my life, move to the side. And one day in this period, I was sitting around looking at a home that we have here that is filled with pieces of art. And I've thought to myself, if something happened to me, what the hell would Sedena do with all of this? Stone and wood and wax and bronze. And I thought, well, I have to honor it in a different kind of way. So I began to create a moving visual gallery of all of the pieces that I still have in my possession and photographs of pieces that I no longer have. And as soon as I did that, I breathed this incredible sigh of relief that I was still doing something to honor something that's such a critical part of my existence. The other night, I was up in the middle of the night wandering around the house, and I was thumbing through a bookcase, and I found a small collection of books that Sedena has from the philosophical library of Khalil Gibran's work. And I haven't read his work in a long time. And so over the course of the next couple of days, I just dove in to this wonderful, wonderful collection of writings. And they helped me remember some of the things that are so critical and important in my life. And the third thing I want to share with you is that one of the authors in the Ageless Living series, a woman by the name of Jetta Mali, is a Brit, and she was at the Lensic for one of our conferences, and she's in the television series. And Jetta has an outstanding collection of guided imagery recordings. And we've had them for, I don't know, 6 or 7 years or longer, and we use them often. But during this time, I've gone back to them. And one of the recordings that was so powerful is a recording in which she talks about intention and the incredible ability we have when we focus our intention to control our environment internally and externally. And so I wrote about that a little bit in one of the emails. But the key is that if we hold our intention at the highest possible frequency, peace, love, courage, joy, gratitude. If we focus on any one of those 5 experiences and focus on it with real intention, it is astounding what happens throughout our body and in the environment that we're living in. So, and when Jetta says to hold the intention, most of us, when we have one of those experiences, we tend to send it out around the world or send it out to someone. And what she reminds us is that when we hold it within ourselves, the energy and the power of that intention builds enormously. So those are just a couple of tips that I share with you, with the caveat that tonight is all about remembering that we have an extraordinary amount of power in our control. And this is an opportunity for each of us to turn what is a challenge into a remarkable new landscape. And we'll talk more about that as the evening goes on. Sedena? Unmute.
So, thanks, George. So right now, what we're witnessing really is a heightened sense of chaos, confusion. A lot of people are in panic and fear and all those things, and maybe some other emotions too. I think people are beginning to get in a lot of gratitude. But what we want to do is use this opportunity, like George said, for us to all come together in a sense of hope and maybe share some solutions that have been working for us during this time, because this really is a unique time, So I just want to say briefly what I was thinking of is, I've had a lot, like everyone, I've had a lot of challenges in my life. I've hit a lot of bottoms. I've had times of loss, dark times, different things have happened. And what I was thinking about last night is that every single time I've had these, what has saved me, literally saved me, is going into my heart and just being at a place where I'm at the bottom and I just pray and say, can you please show me the way? And being guided to a step that really brings me to my next level of growth. Like in the 1980s, I was introduced, I went through this whole process and I was introduced to a personal empowerment and transformational program that literally saved my life. And then I discovered yoga and started doing that. And then Tai Chi. This was in the early 80s. I'm still doing all these things. And then in 1990, there was a lot going on. My mother was not in good shape, and just a lot of things happened. And I was praying for some guidance. And I found this Qigong master and began working that. And I'm still doing that. That's part of everything I do. And all these things together have really saved my life. They've brought me to, as I said, a different level of growth. And what has really worked, and I keep adding things along the way, but what's really worked, I want to share, is that it's the things I've done that make me feel good. I've literally asked, well, what would make me feel good? And I talk to this inner child, the true self, and say, what would you like? Well, what do you want to do? And what I come up with is play, sunshine, rest, fun, nature for sure, movement, dance. I love to cook. What I've been doing lately, instead of watching the news, is playing music while I cook and dancing a little bit and dancing with my birds and and taking Heart, our dog, for a walk and being in nature. Sometimes too, we have a medicine wheel on our land, and this has been a really critical time. And I've been going out there and walking the different directions and saying a prayer in each one and offering it up and asking for guidance. And so what is working for me is putting myself in the light, literally. I have a choice every day. I can either go for the darkness or I can go for the light. And for me, it's a matter of raising, like George mentioned, that vibration. And they've proven that that is what health is, a high vibration, a high frequency. So if I lower my vibration, I'm going to get, I'm going to be compromised. And I don't want that. So I just always trying to remember, and it isn't perfection. What is it that can bring me into the light? Dr. Sanjay Gupta said, when you care for yourself, you care for everyone. I just love that. And so even when you wash your hands, what you're doing when the next person you meet, you're healing everyone you meet. you're making everyone healthy. So the little things that we can do are helping everyone because we're taking care of ourselves. Just real quickly, Mark Nepo is one of our absolute favorites, and he's one of our wisdom keepers, incredible poet. And he sent us the most beautiful email, which we're going to post on the Ageless Living series website, along with other things we're receiving from our authors, just wonderful things. And I just want to read this one little piece. He said, perhaps the washing of hands can become a modern sacrament, a holy ritual by which we hold ourselves and our global family in the deepest regard. I love that. Perhaps the slight bow of love and respect can replace the handshake as a holy ritual that will lessen our fear while sharing our love so that we can bear the uncertainty together. And I just think that's what it's all about, inventing new creative ways that we can help each other and we can share our love with each other. So I have a lot more I can talk about. Well, one more thing is absolutely gratitude. Every day, George and I in the evening, we close our evening with a blessing and gratitude for all our family, our friends, our Ageless Living family, for the work we're doing, for anyone that's in need right now. And it really, I'm telling you, it's a great way to end your day or start your day. So that's it for me for now. And Nathan, you want to share something?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Sedena, and thank you, George. And it was beautiful and inspiring, Sedena. Thank you. And thank you all for being here. It's good to see many of you who I know and many who I don't know. And I just want to take a moment and just acknowledge the fear that's in the space. There's so much fear in talking to people, the past few weeks. There's just this heightened sense of fear, almost panic within so many people. And as people message me or talk to me or have conversations with them, sometimes it's masked. You can sense the fear is there, but they don't want to acknowledge it. I think it's a good opportunity for all of us right now to, if there is a sense of fear or panic or anxiety, let's just acknowledge it and let's accept it and be okay with it for the moment. Let's accept it and not try to deny it and push it away. What's being spread on the media and what's being spread in the news and, people dying and this virus spreading and so forth. There's a lot of panic and fear around it, and rightly so. But this call tonight and the work we're doing through Ageless Living is really about how do we move beyond that. And we can't move beyond that until we acknowledge the energy that's in the space, the energy that's within us. And so, if anyone is feeling a sense of fear, whether for yourself or for a loved one, let's accept it, let's love it, and let's use this opportunity to really move beyond it. I know when we're in a space of fear, it's very hard to focus on solutions. It's hard to even think about solutions. I think most people who are on this call are here because you're already thinking of solutions, you're already doing things that are solution focused, you're already inspired to create change for yourself, for your family, for your community, for your loved ones. But I can sense there's still probably quite a bit of fear around this and an opportunity to say, okay, what can we do to really learn from this experience, to grow as human beings, to come closer together as humanity, to unify our society, to not allow our civil liberties to be taken away from us, swept under the rug in the name of fear and panic. And that's kind of what's in front of us at the moment. For me, the coronavirus has not been a fearful thing for me at all. What's really been fearful for me and kind of gotten me heated at times is how quickly our governments are stepping in to take away our civil liberties, and we're allowing them to without even questioning it. how quickly they're putting military in the streets and calling the National Guard and putting people on lockdown. And for me, like, personal freedom is everything. And so you say you're going to take away my personal freedom, I want to fight back. You know, I don't know if there's anyone else here who's tuning in who has a similar experience. I see some hands raised. And so it's like, okay, what can we do about that? And sometimes it's like, I'm trying to understand all perspectives. I've been doing massive amounts of research on this, talking to leading medical doctors, scientists, researchers, people in China, you know, reading documents and documents of pages and watching videos from some of the top health experts on the planet, and really trying to get a full, you know, understanding, holistic viewpoint of what's going on. And so I see it from a few different perspectives, but without getting into those nitty-gritty details, I do want to say, you know, there is a really interesting thing that's happening that I want to point out, which is how clean the planet seems to be since we've kind of shut down our modern civilization. You know, seeing videos of dolphins swimming in rivers that they haven't been able to for many years because they've been so overrun with boats. Seeing smog and pollution cleared away and replaced with beautiful blue skies for the first time in decades. You know, seeing, unfortunately, in some cases, you know, factories and so forth shut down, which means people are not working and they're suffering from that. But at the same time, the earth getting this opportunity to breathe and to be nourished. And what happens when we as a society go inside and just take a moment and say, let's take a breath here and give the earth a little bit of a break from all of this pollution and destruction, and you know how actually regenerative that is for our planet and for our humanity. I think that's quite an extraordinary blessing that's coming out of this suffering and this turmoil. And I'll just share kind of some solutions maybe for anyone who's, you know, ready for ideas for solutions in terms of just how to protect ourselves and our families. You know, the odds of catching this virus seem quite high, but we can reduce our risk from the very drastic negative effects from it if we really take care of ourselves and do a lot of the things that many people who are here are probably already doing, and maybe double down on those things and add some new things. You know, I think George or Sedena, you talked about self-care, and you know that's really what this is, such an opportunity for all of us to dive in deeper into our own self-care, take care of our immune system, take care of our bodies, take care of our minds and our emotions. You know, we know that fear actually weakens your immune systems. There are enough studies to show that the longer we're in chronic fear, the weaker our immune systems become. So we got to implement practices that take us out of that anxiety and panic and fear and into a state of at least neutrality, calmness, and peace. We might not be joyful in the moment of what's going on, but we can at least get to a state of neutral or peace. And, you know, Sedena, you mentioned Qigong. That's a great one. I have a daily meditation practice. I also do Qigong. I've been doing heart math recently as well. I think those are all great solutions. Whatever your meditation practice is, Qigong practice, yoga, whatever it might be, meditation, you know, now's a good time to either re-implement that or to double down on it, to really help our immune system strengthen by getting out of fear and into a state of resilience. I'd also share a couple other key points, and then I'll hand it back to you, George, and then we're going to open up to everybody to share as well. You know, your lymphatic system is such an important part of your immune system. And they say about 70% of your immune system is actually in your gut, and a huge part of your lymphatic system is in your gut as well. Your entire gastrointestinal system, you know, from your mouth through your byways, through your stomach, all the way intestines, colon, through your anus. It's all an important part of your immune system. So things like probiotics, prebiotics, foods that are rich in inulin fiber, which are plant-rich foods, adding more vegetables, more fruit to your diet, these kinds of things. Simple, basic dietary, healthy dietary things. These are things that can strengthen our immune systems, help us build resilience, help our bodies to defend whatever kind of attack might come at it, because we know this isn't the only one. It's not the first and it's not the last. And so, doing what we can to strengthen our mind, our emotions, and our physical body. And I'll share another one that's got lots of research on it for anyone who doesn't know, which is vitamin C. It's a potent antioxidant and a cofactor for regulatory enzymes, and it contributes to immune defense both against bacterial and viral infections. So doubling down on vitamin C, these kinds of things. But just the main thing I want to share here is whatever your practices are, whatever you already know, it might be time to really implement those to the next level. Continue researching, continue staying open. And I know we'll get through this. I know we'll get through it together, better, stronger, healthier, and happier because of it. But we got to get through this challenging time first. And I'm happy that we're all here to support each other. So thank you.
Thanks, Nathan, Sedena. The thing we'd like to do now is to hear from you. And because there are a number of people on the call, if we could, at least in the first round, if we could limit the time and focus your sharing in a particular way. And what we'd like you to do, if you can, is to identify a concern that you have, and then give us something you're doing to manage or deal with that concern. And in that way, over the course of the remaining portion of our time together, we can benefit collectively from the individual knowledge and experience that each of us has. And so the way that sharing, I'm not going to call on you. We're going to ask you to self-select, and you can do that by unmuting. And as you begin to speak, if by chance someone else has unmuted and begins to speak, if one of you will just kind of back off, and then you can share at the end of it. And we'd like in the first round to keep the sharing to about a minute or so apiece. Begin with your name, your first name if you would, and then something that concerns you about this time or that you're addressing, and some option or solution that you are coming up with that are helping you to deal with it. So who would like to begin?
George, it's Celeste. I will. My name's Celeste Kruger, and my partner is in his 70s and has some high-risk health factors, and I've been afraid of him getting sick. And the way I'm handling it is I have this big turquoise bowl. It's large. And I have, over the years, kept a candle in it sometimes when concerns have come up in the world or in my own heart. And I have lit it. So I began there, but in order to help myself not stay so self-focused, I've invited my friends and anyone I know who is also afraid or has someone in their heart they love to share the first name of that person. I write that name down on a small piece of paper. I put it in a little safekeeping box. I let them know I've done that, and we continue to hold the names together.
Thank you, Celeste. Who else? A fear or a concern and a solution.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that was beautiful. And I do want to mention briefly that everyone's probably muted right now. So if you're going to speak, make sure to unmute. And then as soon as you're done speaking, if you would please mute again, that would be wonderful.
Mm-hmm. Who's next?
Hi, my name is Mark. Can you hear me?
Yes, Mark, we can.
I have no concerns, but since September, I've been reading a series of books called the Ringing Cedars of Russia books.
Woohoo!
And I have never found anything remotely as wonderful as these books in my entire life. And they're not just a spiritual path, they're like an encyclopedia of the most exquisite, precious, lost, eternal wisdom. And they're very practical. And tens of millions of people have been transformed by them. And they're changing their lifestyles and living on the earth and finding a hectare of land and turning it into a earthly paradise, a Garden of Eden. And they're helping hundreds of thousands of people. They're helping the earth more than anything else out there. So I have a 2-page write-up on my website. And I'm going to freak everybody out because I have also am using something and have found something that could very well kill and cure COVID-19. It's called Bob Beck's Protocol. And I have a 1-page write-up on my website about it. And it's very real. And I would just recommend that you take the time to look into these 2 things. So if you just go to my website, mark-landau.com, if you look at all the names, you can find my name there, mark-landau.com. And both a 2-page write-up on the Ringing Cedars books and less than 1 page on Bob Beck's Protocol, which electrifies the blood and neutralizes impurities. And I will leave you with that. Thank you very much.
Mark, would you repeat the name of the book, please? The series?
The series, the first book in the series is called Anastasia, pronounced in Russian Anastasia. And the series is called either just simply The Ringing Cedars or The Ringing Cedars of Russia.
Thank you very much, Mark.
Thank you, Mark. I'm looking forward to it. It's been on in my queue to read. Thanks so much.
On my website. It sounds like Nathan may have found them, and also Raphael Wiseman knows about them as well.
I've been referring those books. I'm so glad you brought that up. I've been referring those books to people for years, and what I do is I buy the first book, and when someone's interested, I always give it to them. So I've bought the first book so many times. It's an amazing series. I'm so glad you brought that up.
Okay, thank you. Who's
Thank
next?
you.
A concern, an issue, a feeling, and a
A
solution.
solution? Anything you want to say? Something that might have worked for you recently.
Well, I'll talk next. I think I'm similar to Nathan in that I'm not experiencing fear or concern in certain ways, but I'm really wanting to look at the dynamic of what's happening and how is it affecting everybody and really understanding the truth of things. And so I've spent a lot of time reading documents and, I just, that part of my intellectual self. And, in the morning I spend time doing meditation and my practices. And then the rest of the time in this last week or so, just trying to just really gain knowledge. That's probably would be my solution. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now.
Thank you, Kitty.
Thanks, Katie.
I think I'll talk next. My name's Don. I notice the emotion that comes up for me is not fear, doesn't really represent it. I see my whole world changing. I see people becoming less material, more soulful. I find it exciting. I find there's I'm curious about where we're going.
Hmm.
Now, I'm 81. I'm not afraid of death so much. I'm probably afraid of sickness, but not death. But I feel like I'm on the beginning of a trip. And sometimes I've taken trips, like I've even done some mountain climbing where it was very dangerous, and curious what was going to happen. And I realized I might not survive everything that's happening here. But I think there is something very healthy actually going on in our society, where we were going down a wrong path, and we're being hit in the back of the head by a 2x4 to look about where we've been going, and maybe there's another path. So what comes up for me is more curiosity than almost fear. And I just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Don.
Thank you, Don. Julie, were you going to share?
Hey, Sedena, how are you? This
Hey,
is Rick.
guys. We got Wichita, Kansas here.
Yes, hi everybody.
No, I guess we don't have any concerns or fears. But the solution that we came up with was even before the coronavirus came about. As people that know us, we had another event happen not long before all this came upon us, and it was a life changer. And you get a call at 6:45 in the evening and changes your entire life. But within an hour and a half, we turned over all of our problems, everything to God. And we just said, this deal is too big for us. Here it is. And since that time, as these other things come along, coronavirus, yes, I'm going to do everything I can to help God, help me. But at the same time, there's very little I feel like I can do personally to knock it down. So I've just turned it over to the people that can. I would make two quick comments. So Nathan had mentioned that he felt like the earth may have a better smile today than what it has in the past. And I can tell you, Julie, it was 70 degrees in Wichita today, which is a beautiful, beautiful spring day. And we took a long walk. And I can attest to what he said. Nature today was smiling, and hopefully, when we get through this, that people will look back and remember these good days that we're having, and go, can't we do something more to have those all more often than not? Yeah. And Don had said something, and I apologize, Don, but I can't remember now because I didn't have a pen here handy, which we normally got thousands of pens. Couldn't find one, but I wonder, I know he had, but I believe both those guys were kind of on target. So appreciate y'all allowing us on. If we have to get off earlier than everybody, we have to get our beauty sleep here. So, but we'll be here for a while yet.
Thanks so much for being here, you guys. Good stuff.
George, Sedena, can you hear me?
Yes,
this is Peter.
I hear you, Peter.
All right, great, thank you. So thanks for creating this meeting. And I just want
Peter, I just want to stop you. Are you the guy that has a book?
Yes. I didn't say anything today.
I understand.
Yes, I do. But I think what I just wanted to note down more than anything is that these times are really a mirror, and it brings out whatever it is to all of us. It brings different things, and it's an opportunity to see what it brings up on us. It's going to be different for all of us. And also, I think it's wonderful to have all the techniques, but I think it's also a reminder that it is important to be in a continuous process of empowerment, right? Because if we just let this crisis come over us and all of a sudden we're caught off guard, of course, it's never too late, and it's a call to get started. But it's also a reminder that we really need to be on this process all along our lives, so that, because there will be more crises, there will be more challenges. So this is a process that we need to keep on all the time and not just forget about it once this crisis is over. So be with it and continue working on that, because that's what life is about, really. That's all what it is.
Mm,
Thank you, Peter. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, this is Leanne.
Hi,
You
Leanne.
guys can hear me good.
Yes.
Good evening. It's wonderful to be with everyone, and I'm feeling just so inspired and included, and I'm feeling a wave of love from our conversation tonight. And I related a lot to what Sedena said. I find that I'm doing what I love more. I have more time now to do what I love. I love to walk. I love to be with my animals, ride my horse. I am not missing a day where I engage in my spiritual practice. And I find if I engage in my spiritual practice, my being becomes more unique, more of who I am. And I'm in a better place to help and serve others. And I think that's it, just my spiritual practice and making sure I have time, and I make time every day to do what's important to me.
Thank you.
What makes me happy.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah. Good stuff. While we're waiting, I want to just affirm that, Leanne, that in the morning when I'm doing my meditation, it's just, and reading the little things that inspire me, it's just so important. I try to remember that the greatest impact on our health is the quality of the signal from our heart to our brain. That's what creates coherence in the body and health. And if I start with compassion and just say, I'm in a state of compassion, and that's the power we have. Compassion starts to come out of my heart, and then all of a sudden my whole body's coherent. It really does work. Thank you.
Hi, Sedena.
Hi, Tess.
George,
Tess.
I love you guys. Thanks for doing this.
We love you.
So by the way, I'm still in my office. I'm working at First Nations Community Mental Health Clinic. I am busier than ever. So I see clients through Zoom. So my fear is my own anxiety. I can actually lose my sense of self in anxiety and unnecessary fear. So then what I do is, luckily, agencies require me to continue working through Zoom, and we have crisis walk-in, people freaking out. I actually see clients, but I put them really far away. So I am doing my notes still at the clinic. So this is my office with Ramdas's, so just remembering all the people that are around there. We're connected like you and George. So, I'm doing my notes and staying connected to you, and then showing off for clients. Then I forget about my anxiety. I forget about my fear. So thank you so much for doing this today. So I'm doing notes and listening to you. I'm already feeling better. So thank you.
Good.
You're welcome, Tess.
Thank you for
There's
sharing, Tess.
there's a spiritual practice that is called thinking and destiny. It's a very little known, but one of the tenets of that practice is never go faster than feeling can follow. And as I listen to so much of the sharing, it's a thing that is so apparent. The world that we live in has certainly gotten away from most of us. And it lives us rather than we living it. And whenever I remember that statement, never go faster than feeling can follow, I slow down, and it then gives me the opportunity to take a breath, to gain another perspective, to let in something that I've been keeping out with all my busyness and my activity. And I return to myself. And so very, very important. Who else has something to share?
I'd like to share. Can you hear me?
Hey,
Yes.
Raphael.
So what comes up for me is learning the practice of being in the moment, which is somewhat the greatest antidote I think we could have fears, to being totally present with where we're at. And part of that is to learn to trust always, no matter what it appears is going on. And I've been doing a lot of research. I do my practice. I have a pretty good connection with guidance. And I've been researching a lot of what's behind the whole issue around the virus, especially around control. And that this whole energy has actually seems to have been orchestrated very clearly for the purposes of control. And so what my so-called solution is to recognize that no matter what is going on, that there's always a higher purpose that can take it and turn it on its head and turn it into good. And I see that that's in many ways the higher purpose behind this period that we're all going of, like a reset of redefining who we are and having the opportunity to claim, first of all, our own love for ourselves and our families and each other, and recognize that we're all connected. And that having our hearts, learning to open our hearts, essentially, washing your hands is not going to do the trick. It's washing the heart that's going to make all the difference. And learning to live in the present, recognizing that at a higher level, everything is okay. And that there, as the gentleman before said, that God knows how to deal with this, whether it's through his many angels or it's through his many human angels. That by loving and taking care of each other and by staying in our hearts and present and staying calm and peace and doing our practice, we'll all get through this. Maybe the world will be slightly less populated, but we're actually moving toward the new world. And it's happening in a way that we could never have created through our imaginations. It's being done for us. So I guess those are my, I don't have fears. I'm delighted to have, I did my taxes today. I got all my stuff together. I've been playing my flute, rocking and rolling to the music. I've been going out and walking wherever I can. I'm about to get my garden started. So living close to nature, I think I'm talking to nature. These are some of my solutions to the fear energy. And if I stay calm, maybe it'll touch other people to be able to stay calm.
Thank you very much, Raphael. Who else has something to share?
Yes, I'd like to say something. I've been doing so much cooking lately that I just can't even believe how many meals that you have to make. But it's just going to the grocery store and that kind of fear that you have in yourself, like, is he going to come too close to me, or is this guy going to come this way? If we just let go of that and just say kindly to someone, can you please move over just a slight bit, you know, treat them very nicely, you know, instead of so many people just pushing and shoving and saying, excuse me, you know, and I don't know. That whole thing of all the cooking and the inwardness, I get away from that by taking my walks and relaxing, enjoying, you know, the person that I'm with, and just looking at my grandmother while I'm cooking. And I mean, we just have to enjoy the normal, everyday things that we get to do now in such leisure. I mean, that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Julie.
Yes.
Thanks, Julie.
Hi, I'm Jean, and I think for me, if I looked at having a problem or something to be concerned about in the area of control is probably has to do more with the leaders of this country right now making statements that are not following what I think ought to happen. And so I noticed that's where anger and impatience comes up for me, maybe a little fear that, so for me, it's really not paying attention to that. It's like walking away from it and doing so many of the things that everybody's talking about. For me, spending time doing projects that I spend way too much time avoiding, and now I can't because it's like calling me, and I'm feeling so blessed about that. Being in nature, of course, I'm not spending as much time as I should be in nature. I think I should be doing, but I feel that the earth is smiling, and I've been kind of laughing about how humanity's having to take a time out to be in more harmony with the planet. And I'm enjoying so much reading and making and getting different meanings for what's happening. I feel particularly getting in touch with wisdom from visionaries of how this has been kind of felt like it was an inevitable event. And it's so creative how it happened. And just sort of like Dawn, I'm very curious about how it's going to play out. So I enjoy so much talking. I'm spending more time on Zoom than I've ever spent. There's actually another one going on simultaneously with this, with a healer who's offering free healings and energy healings, and 45 people are on that every night. So it's just a fabulous time to really be in this kind of spirit with everyone. And in so many ways, it's been great. And at the same time, recognizing that there is, and not being cut off emotionally or feeling wise, as you said, George, to what other people are dealing with, who are not quite as blessed as we are. So it's all one big sense of humanity, and it's really tested moment of being the highest place we can possibly be. So that's for me.
Thank you, Jean.
Thanks, Jean.
One of the things I'm noticing, because I too get caught up in stuff that comes out of Washington or other places, and what I realize is that during this time, individuals are taking back their control, like governors and mayors and whatnot. So somebody may pontificate from a podium in Washington, but 2 seconds later, a mayor or a governor is saying, no, we're going to stay on this, or we're going to follow this path or whatnot. There's a wonderful sense of control is shifting to a larger number of people. And I think that's really remarkable and wonderful. What else?
I just want to add that I don't know if you saw this on the news, but it was so heartening. People are beginning to be very creative. There's something like 2 million plus restaurant employees, the restaurant business. And there's this French chef that was on the news. He's starting a movement to feed everyone by engaging the restaurant industry to cook and provide meals for people who need them. And that's the kind of thing that's just makes you just feel like, wow, we can do anything. And maybe this is giving us a chance to be a little bit resourceful and try new ways.
Anything else for those of you who have been off screen for a little while?
Marilyn.
You'd like to share something that you're doing as a solution, or something you're doing that's contributing to a higher state of consciousness, a better sense of well-being, any of that you'd like to share with us?
Marilyn wants to share.
I was just going to say that I feel like I felt feelings that have been expressed by most of you. My favorite to feel are what Nathan and somebody else talked about Mother Earth kind of shaking free and finding her footing and putting us in our proper place. That's my favorite one. But I've gone back, I've had a couple of days, and I'm not a person who has a lot of anxiety, but I had a couple of days where I got to discover what real anxiety was, and fear and all of that. And I haven't had an opportunity. I'm just still playing catch up with our lives. So I've been very busy with that. So I haven't had that opportunity to move into that space I look forward to, of reflection and reading and art, and that'll be nice when it comes. But I do feel in my heart of hearts that this is the change that we've, at least some of us, have been waiting for. Not going to be fun, particularly. There's going to be a lot of damage, but it does create, and the hope it offers, I think, is for us all to find new ways of being in community, new ways of finding our food security and helping our neighbors, and new ways of prioritizing our own and our loved ones' health and well-being. That expands. It's a basis from which we can expand out into a broader community. I think this series, moving to Zoom, is really cool because it's kind of the beginning of where you were wanting it to go anyway. So I think that's a really cool thing that we're learning to do this way. This is the largest Zoom call I've ever been on. It's neat. So thank you.
Thank you, Marilyn.
Thanks so much, Marilyn. And I agree with you. It's also a time where our Ageless Living television series now has a captive audience. People are home more. They can watch it. And there's resources there, for this time of growth and expansion, personal development, spiritual transformation. So in a way, it's a blessing for the series. As it gets out there, it's going to touch people and lift them, and we can all become resources of love and sanity finally.
Yeah.
I just want to pay attention to time. I think we can give about 10 minutes more to this. So if you haven't had a chance to share and you would like to, please do, so that we don't prevent someone from sharing that would like to.
Yes, this is Henry Davis talking. I just wanted to say that I had to take we've got two twin granddaughters. We have twin granddaughters here, and I had to leave for a while and then come back. So hopefully I'm not repeating things that have been said already, but one of them is for me, it's the being who we are at this age and at this stage of our life. It's very helpful to, I mean, we're blessed. We're truly blessed because we don't have to worry about our job for the most part. We have, hopefully, many of us have Social Security and other retirement plans and things like that. And it does give us a particular freedom to have the time to go into things that maybe, as you had spoken about before, we had forgotten and have come back to. And it's so I appreciate that. I also appreciate in the opening comments talking about seeing rivers where the dolphins haven't swum before, and clear skies where it used to be smoggy. Those are things I had not even thought about, and I thought that was really very meaningful to me.
God freeze.
But I found this very interesting, and I think it sounds like many of us, if not all, have come up with our own way of own ideas. A lot of common threads, but to return to that source within us where we can, and that's how we change, that's how we assist the world in the transition, is, as was also said earlier, as we do something and believe it and feel the intention for things to change, then we are contributing, even though we may physically not be out doing something tangible. So anyway, I appreciate it, and what I've heard, I've enjoyed very much. So thank you.
Thank you, Henry.
Yeah, thank you. And while the next person gets ready, I do want to share something quickly that came up that hasn't been voiced yet. You know, the father of two young kids, and I know some of you here are parents and some of you are grandparents with lots of young kids, I'm sure we can all relate to. One of my main concerns with the younger kids right now is what we're teaching subconsciously to kids, to not touch each other, to not hug each other, to be afraid of each other, to be afraid of germs, to be afraid to, oh, that person's sneezing, don't go near them. You know, what we're teaching them through this experience subconsciously is quite concerning to me because of, one, the prejudice that will come out of that. We're already seeing that in schools. I have a friend and colleague whose son is Chinese, and he's getting, you know, very bullied in school right now. And, you know, kids who, through this experience, may naturally, subconsciously, start to move away from that natural inclination for human touch and how important human touch is. So as a parent, I'm acutely aware of that and doing what I can in this time to, you know, hug my kids as much as I can and show them that, you know, I'm not afraid of touching and hugging and all of that. And as we move out of this into the next phases, you know, being mindful of if those subconscious patterns are starting to appear, find ways to help break those patterns, you know, because touching and hugging and all of that is so important for human beings in so many ways. And I don't want us to lose that as a humanity. So.
Thank you, Nathan. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Who else would
Nathan.
like to share?
Important.
Denis, do you have your sound open and want to say something?
Denise?
I think you are all doing the incredible awakening of consciousness. So thank you so much for being present.
Thank you, Denis.
Thank you, Denis.
You've been doing it all your life, which
It's been
is
a
wonderful
while.
thing.
You're the best.
Thank you for the compliment.
Yeah,
It's
you're
true.
welcome. Who else? Just a few moments left to share.
Okay.
This is John Mead.
Hi, John.
John.
Hey, you asked what we might be doing. I've got a show planned. It's called Enchanted Cafe Dinner Theater.
Uh-huh.
And I'll be putting an invitation out on my newsletter tonight. That's what I'm finishing up for people to participate. We're seeking submission of pieces of dance, music, comedy, theater, spoken word, that sort of thing. And we'll weave them together into a program, and we'll after we show them, we'll have a dialogue with the creator of each piece. And, about their inspiration behind it and how it moved audience members.
I love you, John.
So check it out. If you're not on my weekly newsletter, and my events these days are all online because we're quarantining, go to enchantedcafe.net and you can subscribe, and then you'll hear about this event coming up. We're planning the first one of this series on Sunday, April 5th.
Sounds amazing.
So,
John, I know you've had
it should
this.
be a what?
I was going to say, I know you've had this in the works for many years, and 10 years down the road, when someone asks you, wow, what was it that got you to do this amazing thing? You can say it was the coronavirus.
Well, that's actually a different idea. But this is how it's manifesting initially, is through this online dinner theater show.
Awesome, great.
So
Thank you.
I hope you'll join us.
Thanks, John.
We will.
2 more sharings, please.
Who hasn't shared?
Well, I'd just like to share. I've been really enjoying agelessness.
Okay.
And appreciating at 83, somebody had just asked me to do a series of short videos of what that means to me. And it's walking the talk and having this beautiful time, to wake up in the morning and bounce on my ball and breathe and sound and move and bring my feelings alive, and that at every moment, no matter what's going on, this sense of self-care and regeneration, and to be able to really come alive. If there ever was a time, I just feel to be ageless and vital is just so essential right now. And thank you for bringing this beautiful theme to the world.
Thank you,
wow.
Lisa. Thank you.
Thank you. Wowza.
Yeah.
One more.
I just wanted to let everyone know how much I've been impressed with how people are opening up to other people. You can't touch them, but they're opening up. There are free classes, exercise classes you can do online, all sorts of different things that you can do that weren't available before because they wanted to charge you and make money.
Okay.
And now they're offering them to people, crochet patterns, ebooks, all sorts of things that they're offering to people who need things to do while they're sitting at home. And I just thought it was very nice to find those kinds of things and how people are opening up in that way.
Okay.
Well, thank you, Francis. Thank you very much.
Thank
I have an idea. I'm going to press the unmute all, and then I'm going to go across the board. And if each one of you will share one wish that you have for the world at this time, okay? So let me first go down here and turn off all the mutes. Okay, and then if I can, I'll just call out your names one at a time. Betty. Oh, I muted again. What did
here we go. Yeah.
One second. Let me.
Well, I would hope that we would. This is Betty, and I would hope that we would all have a greater sense of cooperation and helpfulness. That would be my wish.
Terrific. Katie and
I would say peace.
Bye.
I wish everyone health.
Thank you. Jean?
Higher reality.
And Don?
Connectedness.
Raphael?
The future is coming.
Henry?
That we are kind to each other.
Leanne?
Grace.
That was Hart. Hart had her own. Say that one more time, please, Leanne.
Grace.
Thank you. Nathan?
My wish is that we all learn how to live in harmony with each other and with the planet.
Peter?
Love.
And?
I want to say that change. I
Change.
think that, yes, change.
Julie and Richard?
I would say health and treat everyone kind and realize that we're all one world and we're all going through this. And we all want some compassion.
Rick?
Kindness and harmony among the people of the world and with the world.
Thank you. Marilyn?
Global transformation.
Eb?
I hope they get rid of Trump.
Rosa, I can't see you, but do you have a contribution?
Do something that brings you joy.
Thank you. Mark?
That more and more people find their special piece of land and turn it into a self-sustaining space of love and a Garden of Eden.
Thank you. Denis?
God bless everyone, and I am, God bless everyone. You are all blessed.
Thank you. Elisa? Turn off. You're on mute. You have mute on still.
The realization that we're living in a conscious, loving universe and we're universal loving beings, and that we are truly one.
Tess?
Hug each other, your partner, hug yourself, tickle each other, be more playful.
Don?
I'd like to see people coming from much greater kindness and integrity.
Heidi?
Just a second. I'm trying to start my video. Okay. That wherever this takes us, that we sustain and expand the amazing space and grace that we've been given now.
Thank you, Heidi. Susanna?
Well-being.
Misa?
It's about the love and creativity that brings us together so that we transcend the things we call problems.
Thank you. Paul, you're on mute. Do you want to unmute and say something?
Not at this time.
Thank you. Nancy?
Respect and awe for this amazing ball that's hurtling through space, who's alive with all of us, and that respect guides us to a new vision.
Israel, are you there with Nancy?
Yes. Stay out of the remembered past and the imagined future and be in the present moment.
Thank you.
And don't buy too much toilet paper.
Francis.
Passion and kindness. I think we can all use more of it in this world, and I hope it continues and increases.
Thank you.
I'd like to share.
Who's that?
Sedena.
Oh, please.
That everyone share the kinship of being alive and well and enjoying every moment of their lives.
And my wish is that each of us be authentically our original self in all of our splendor and all of our uniqueness, you know?
Oh, I'm sorry. You're good.
So we will do more of these. We will also do some of the other version that we were doing live, where we'll show an episode and then we'll get in breakout groups and we'll talk about that topic. We would love to hear via email any thoughts about the value of tonight and the desire to do more of these. Sedena opened with a quote from Mark Nepo, and I'd like to close with, this is from a piece that Mark wrote called The Anthem of Our Day, and it goes something like this. In the ocean of history, things build and then are worn away to what is most essential. This is an irrevocable and recurring tide of time. And while the storms, whatever their form, push us away, it is only by coming together that we endure and emerge even stronger, clearer, and more loving. This seems to be where we are now. And the practice, so simple and so difficult, is how to move through the days with caution and care without feeling our panic. For the other viruses spreading now is fear. We can all feel it calling us with its hypnotic frenzy. But one thing I've learned from almost dying from cancer is that fear is to be moved through and not obeyed. And we need each other in order to see clearly so that we can right size what is before us day after day.
Mm-hmm.
God bless. Thank you very much
God
for
bless.
joining us.
Thank you so much.
I love you. Mwah. George, Sedena, I love you.
Love
See
you
you all
all.
soon. Blessing.
Thank you.
Love you all.
Very much.